Hello there. I am continuing my analysis of my most recent video, Blue Star Solstice 2016 Memory Complex Codes, Royal Houses of Sirius, Pleiades and Lyra. My last two videos, I was responding to questions that individuals had sent in after watching these analysis videos. So if you do have any questions you would like to ask that are that relate to the analysis, then do send them in. I can't promise I will get to all of them, but if I do feel that that question holds a lot of energy, a lot of mass, as in lots of people are asking that question, and that question is important to address, then I will. So going back to the channeling. When the diamond light is called within you through the knowings of the memory complex, that is all that is you, which I covered in the last video, the last analysis video I did. So I discussed what the diamond light is, and the knowings of the memory complex, what the memory complex is, and what all that is you means. So if you haven't seen that video, then go back and watch that one. And that one is called the Diamond Light Diamond Matrix. You hold awareness of the ultra-dimensional incarnations. So what are ultra-dimensional incarnations, and what's ultra-dimensional? We have a dimensional scale, ultra-dimensional. So we've got extraterrestrial incarnations, which we know are consciousness structures, individuals, people that have lived their life in a non-terrestrial sense, as in not on Earth. So from our perspective, any being that's lived their life or has been born outside of Earth, they would be an extraterrestrial. So an ultra-dimensional, ultra being outside of this dimension. So we're looking at incarnations that have occurred in higher dimensions. So we can have incarnations on other planets. That may be a third dimensional incarnation, very similar to ours. It may be a third dimensional planet, or it may be a planetary system that has a third dimensional counterpart to it. But the Pleiades, Lyra and Sirius are higher dimensional planetary systems. They're not third dimensional planetary systems. So the lifetimes, the incarnations within those planetary systems will be within other dimensions as well. So the planetary system of the Pleiades is another dimension. The planetary system of Lyra is another dimension. The planetary system of Sirius is another dimension. So ultra-dimensional and extraterrestrial are the same thing in that sense, but extraterrestrial can mean individuals that are in a third dimensional, other planetary sense. So different perspectives of how to view an incarnation that's not on Earth. You hold awareness of the ultra-dimensional incarnations as a reflection of all that you are. So the awareness that you hold of these other incarnations reflects you, as in the true you, the you that goes beyond who you are in this incarnation. So say your name is Kate. The reflection of these ultra-dimensional incarnations will be outside of Kate. They won't be Kate, they'll be outside of Kate. They will be more than Kate. So the reflection of all that you are is you are many, you are one, you are all things when you look at the perspective of you being many, you are all things separately when you look at the perspective of being many, you are all things at once when you look at the perspective of being just one entity, as in oneness. You are all things at once, and you are all things in different times. So when you look at the perspective of you are many, and this was one of the questions I actually had sent in by email, what does you are many mean? When you look at the perspective of you are many, you know that you are all things, but you are separate within that many. You are billions and billions of entities all at the same time. When you look at you are one entity, and that one entity encompasses all those billions and billions of entities at the same time. you hold awareness of the ultra-dimensional incarnations as a reflection of all that you are. So this awareness reflects back to you who you are. It reflects back to you the other selves that you are, and it reflects back to you the oneness that you are. And you are able to interpret this into the higher planes of memory. The higher planes of memory. This is memory that goes outside of that which you could become aware of within the incarnation that you are. So say you are Kate. I've spoken before in the other analysis videos that if you are Kate, Kate would have awareness of what's happening in her life, and there would be a subliminal, subconscious awareness going on from the minute she's conceived. Not from the minute she's born, from the minute she's conceived. There is a subconscious awareness going on of every single energetic, every event, every emotion, every sound, every visual from the minute she's conceived. So when a baby is growing, when someone is pregnant and a baby is growing, your voice, your shouting, your arguments, your singing, your relaxation, your distress, it's all mapped within that baby. And that is mapped with this this subconscious aspect that is playing constantly within the background. So that would be a higher tier of memory. The higher planes of memory would be outside of that incarnation. So everything that soul, that individual has mapped from their point of conception till when they leave that lifetime, outside of that. So it's before they were conceived and after they left the physical body. That's the higher planes of memory. So you interpret this reflection of the ultra-dimensional incarnations through the higher planes of memory. That's because those ultra-dimensional incarnations occurred before you were born as Kate and before you've left Kate's lifetime. So they are higher planes of memory. You are able to interpret this into the higher planes of memory through your lifetimes within the Andromeda system and the Arcturian planetary grid. So your lifetimes within the Andromeda system. Does this suggest, as this channeling is being delivered to everyone, does this suggest that everyone has lifetimes within the Andromeda system? The answer to that is yes. The awareness of you being a soul that's had lifetimes in the Andromeda system comes with your awakening. It comes with your higher planes of memory. If you are not an individual who's reached the higher planes of memory, and your memory system is that of Kate, whether that's conscious awareness or whether that's the subconscious that's been playing in the background since she was conceived, if that person's memory hasn't reached beyond that boundary of the lifetime of Kate, then they haven't had any incarnations in the Andromeda system. The perspective is what creates the incarnations, because the matrix moves. You create your own past just as you create your own future. And when it comes to the Andromeda system is the past because you've been there before, but it's the future because it's a higher dimension, therefore it's in the future, so you haven't been there yet. So if you haven't got awareness of that higher memory, you haven't been incarnated in Andromeda. The minute you start to have awareness, you shift the matrix, everything changes. You become a multidimensional being, activate cellular memory, change the DNA structure, and you have had incarnations within the Andromeda system. And you interpret these ultra-dimensional incarnations into the higher planes of memory through your lifetimes within the Andromeda system. Why? Well, the reason for that is the Andromeda system holds this vast library of information. The Andromeda system is very much a system of incarnation within the Akashic records, if you like. So when we look at the Andromeda galaxy, if we were to pinpoint the Akashic records, we could say, well, they're in the Andromeda system. That's because the Andromeda system is a seventh dimensional field and beyond, and the Akashic records is really a seventh dimensional field. That's a linear interpretation. The Akashic records really run through all dimensions, including the third, and so does the Andromeda system. So these are multidimensional concepts, and we're interpreting these in a linear sense through the third dimension. That's why we're looking at planets, galaxies, and places and dimensions. Really, this is an energy, a consciousness. You are able to interpret this into the higher planes of memory through your lifetimes within the Andromeda system and the Arcturian planetary grid. The Arcturian planetary grid is, there is like a grid across Earth, a crystalline grid. It is a network that pinpoints all aware starseeds. When those starseeds get to a certain level of awareness, that level of awareness would be called an Arcturian awareness, an Arcturian consciousness. It's also the same thing as the Christ consciousness, the Christed sphere. So we have individuals who are moving into unity. They are aware of their oneness, but they're also aware of their separation, and they're aware of the higher lifetimes. So we're going above Sirius, Pleiades and Lyra into a higher dimension, Andromeda, and a higher dimension, Arcturus. So these planetary systems are dimensions. Arcturus, the Arcturian planetary grid, is created through the awareness of an individual becoming aware of their Arcturian lifetime. So when memory comes in of, I have had an Arcturian lifetime, I am Arcturian, or I was Arcturian, or I will be Arcturian, whichever way they wish to view that, it's all the same. There creates a network linking. So say we've got Sue, John, and Peter. Sue, John, and Peter become aware of their Arcturian lifetimes. Sue is in Africa, John's in America, and Peter's in England. Those three are networked together. They hold a connection and they become part of a grid. That's the Arcturian planetary grid on Earth. And of course, there's an Arcturian planetary grid within the planetary system of Arcturus, or the dimension of Arcturus. That's a grid that would occur within Arcturian consciousness that's in that sphere. It's the same thing. The Arcturian planetary grid on Earth and the Arcturian planetary grid on Arcturus are the same thing, because it takes you to the same space within your consciousness. Does this mean we can visit Arcturus? We can visit Andromeda? We can visit Sirius, Lyra, and Pleiades while we're here on Earth? Yes, absolutely it means that. And there are many, many people who do that. And they may not even have memories of actually visiting. So when you visit Arcturus, you don't necessarily get in a ship, fly to Arcturus, get out, show your ticket and start walking around Arcturus. Visiting Arcturus is simply feeling the Arcturian energy. Bang, you have a download. And that download can come in 1 second. And then you unravel it. And then you start to see Arcturus, the people, the nature, the structure, the philosophy, the system. If you choose to put your attention there. If you intend to visit Arcturus and you place your attention there, then you will have a analyzed presentation of the Arcturian energy as it reflects to you and who you are, because Arcturian energy is a higher dimension, therefore it will reflect you and what you are. If you are an aware individual holding an Arcturian awareness, then you will reflect a very high level of love, unconditional love, connection, oneness, unity, because the Arcturian energy is the Christ consciousness. It's the same thing. It is at this point that you stand within the truth of the Andromedan and Arcturian incarnations. The truth is everything I've just said, perceived in a linear sense. The truth of the Andromedan and Arcturian incarnations may be very different to you. The truth may be you are light. You are a light being. You've lost your physical body and you are light. That is true. The truth may be that you are a perception without a body. That is true. So there are many, many ways to interpret the truth of the Andromedan and Arcturan incarnations, but these are pinpointed planetary systems or galaxies or places within the multiverse that are higher dimensional points, gateways for us to interpret that energy in a linear sense. The next part of the channeling: in and out of 0-point memory fields, your star-seeded awareness shall move. So as a starseed, you know you are seeded within the stars because you've become aware, therefore you become a starseed. In and out of 0-point memory fields. So the 0-point memory field is the oneness. And when you're in the 0-point memory field, you are nothing and you are all simultaneously. The 0 point is the absolute now. There's no time, there's no memory. There is no memory in the 0-point memory fields. 0-point memory is absolute oneness within the now moment. There is only now, but within that now are all things and no things. You will move in and out of this awareness as a starseed. You're not going to be able to live there 24/7 because you won't be able to function in the third dimension. If you want to go to the shops and buy yourself your ingredients to cook your dinner, you can't drive to the shops and buy your dinner while you're in the 0-point memory field, because you need to get into the third dimension linear thinking in order to buy the ingredients for your dinner and go and cook. But when do you get into the 0-point memory fields? Well, you can go there while you're asleep, either in dream time or an aware dream time, like out-of-body experience. Out-of-body experience still has, you can still go outside of the 0 point because you are looking at individualized aspects and individualized memory. The 0-point memory fields within an out-of-body experience would probably feel something like you are the universe. You may see other planets and know that they're part of your body. That's the kind of perspective that you may hold in an out-of-body experience within the 0-point memory fields. But not necessarily. You might be lying in a cloud. You might be the cloud. So this can come in many, many different ways. One very common presentation of 0-point memory fields within an out-of-body experience is the perspective that you are floating upwards out of your body and up into this pure white light. And you are actually surrounded by white light. Not only are you surrounded by white light, that you become the white light. And I do have a video called Beyond the White Light, and that will assist you with the activation of that particular perspective of the 0-point memory fields, should you choose to intend to have that experience. So in and out of 0-point memory fields, your star-seeded awareness shall move. So you are moving in to the 0-point memory field. So other ways to do this is meditation, obviously, and it's probably the most widely used method or key to get into the 0-point memory fields. Meditation, allow that to come. It will take you into that place. Certain bodily movements that create flow within the body can take you into the 0-point memory fields, either while you are moving or afterwards. For example, a yoga workout, depending on the kind of yoga, you can move into 0-point memory while you're doing yoga. That seems to be a dichotomy because you're working. What will actually happen is when you are in a linear expression of yoga, you are aware of the position that you are moving into. You are aware of the next position you are moving into. So you see your yoga movement as a sequence, either a sequence of positions or asanas, or individual asanas or poses, but you will perceive it as a linear expression. But if you've ever done a yoga workout where you feel like you're there, but you're not really there, and it's like you're observing yourself doing yoga, you may even come out of the body and be watching yourself do yoga. That's more of a 0-point memory awareness. So it's a disassociation of the physical body but not in a negative sense. It's a disassociation in a positive sense, because it's taking you out of the body. And the reason why you've come out of the body is because you are in the body. The more you move within the body, the more you can come out of the body. And that's why yoga was channeled as a template to follow in the first place, as is Tai Chi and many forms of martial arts, eurythmy, many forms of dance. These are movements that assist you to move into the 0 point memory fields. Or you may find you do a yoga workout or whatever other method of movement, and it's afterwards when you go into, for example, if it's yoga, you go into Shavasana, that may be when you move into the 0 point memory field. That's because the movement of the body has assisted you to raise the vibration to move into the 0 point memory field. Or you may do some kind of yoga that is more like Kundalini yoga. That would take you into the 0 point memory fields very quickly, because that's designed to be a multidimensional form of yoga. So there's so many different forms of yoga. So that's a whole other subject, really, but that's just another key or trigger into the 0 point memory fields. So in and out of the 0 point memory fields, your star-seeded awareness shall move. Yet it is the planetary inception points that are activated en masse at this time as you approach the winter solstice 2016. So when the nines speak about activation, there are many star seeds that are activating 0 point memory fields, Arcturus and Andromeda. They're doing this in smaller groups as individuals, but when we look at the en masse activation, so we've got this awareness and these few individuals that are stepping forward into this higher memory, this higher awareness. But when we look at the en masse structure, as in this huge movement of individuals that are all awakening, and we are looking at a lot of people, and it's very difficult to pinpoint how many, but it's potentially, I think we've got 7 billion people on this planet, and it's potentially somewhere between 1 and 2 billion that are in this awakened, varying degrees of awakened state. Probably less than 1 billion are in this en masse activation. It's growing all the time, but really don't take those figures, because it's so difficult to actually pinpoint a number for this movement. And when you pinpoint a number, you're using your own interpretation. Another channel may say, well, there's only 500 people that are aware. Another channel may say it's 4 billion. They'd both be right, because the perspective of number is linear, and this is a non-linear movement. So it's easier perhaps to see it as a percentage. Maybe when we look at 100% of the planet, we're looking at maybe 10%, maybe 20% that are in this movement. But again, it's very difficult. And this number changes all the time with every single nanosecond. It's moving because people move out of it. So if we're looking at the awareness as a structure, people are moving in and out of the awareness. Most people who've become aware will move in and out, in and out, in and out, and then stay there. But most of the individuals who are in a state of awakening aren't aware 24/7 yet. And the awareness isn't quite the 0 point memory field. That's the next level. So the planetary inception points, the awareness of the linear line, and the first birthing of you as a memory complex, that is the activation. That memory is the activation en masse. So this large group, that's why I've had so many emails since this analysis, because there's a large group of people experiencing this right now. As we come towards the winter solstice, so we're looking at another, well, today I'm recording this on December the 11th, and the winter solstice is the 21st. So we've only got a couple of weeks. The winter solstice, I'm not saying that it's that day, as in, I know nothing, and suddenly on the 21st of December, wow, I know everything. It's not like that. The winter solstice is a point, and it spans out either side. there is a activation going on that has started around the Lion's Gate and has moved through these sort of autumn and winter periods, or summer, depending on where you are in the world. So the winter solstice will be the summer solstice, and they're going through exactly the same awakening, just with different, different season. So as we appoint this coming solstice, as we move towards this coming solstice, this is the en masse activation, and the memory that we are activating is of our inception points. So moving forward into more of the channeling, whilst platinum ray and diamond light codes shall indeed be switched on and fired up, they are the solar and galactic memory complex aspects of the ascension process. So using the metaphors of the solar being the sun, the galactic being the galaxy, so we're looking at very expanded memory, platinum ray, diamond light. So we're looking at this lighting up. Yes, it shall be switched on. Yes, it shall be fired up. So it's coming up within this cellular memory. It is the celestial aspect that's coming online. So the celestial aspect is the level of the stars. So if we were to imagine our memory could expand outwards beyond us, and this is exactly what it does through the chakra, the higher chakra and the cosmic chakras, we're able to communicate with these aspects of ourselves through our chakra system. And our chakra system doesn't end just above the crown or end just below the feet. It goes on and on and on and on until it meets the crown, and the base become the same place. That's what's happening. And that is the pillar of light. That is the vertical pillar of the matrix, which is a never-ending vertical line. We've got the horizontal and the diagonal and all these other aspects. So we're actually constructing our matrix right now through memory. So if we imagine that this memory can expand out through this energetic system that's us, that go, as we do not end at the boundaries of our skin, that's the physical self. We go beyond and beyond and beyond. If we get to the level of the stars, that's the celestial aspect, that is what's coming online. The solar aspect, the galactic aspect, is available to us and we can feel it, but that will come online en masse later on in the linear time period of this reality. So I'm not sure when, haven't been given the dates for that, but at the moment it's the celestial aspect that comes online, allowing you to stand within the truth of the extraterrestrial planetary inception points within the royal houses of those systems. So allowing you to stand within the truth of the extraterrestrial planetary inception points. So we know what the truth is. Sirius isn't outside of us. Lyra isn't outside of us. Pleiades isn't outside of us, far, far away. It's us. We're from there. We're seeded there. We have the energy of these places. We have the codes of these places. And the royal houses of those systems are the individuals sent forth from those systems with the memory of that system. So say it's Lyra, we send forth this group of individuals all seeded originally in the Lyra complex. When they begin to create the memory complex, they belong to the royal house. When they activate the royal code within, which is this royal code within the DNA, and it is an actual code. It's an actual code within the DNA. It looks like language, and I'm not familiar with cellular biology, but what I'm told from the 9 is, if you are interested in cellular biology, if you look at the DNA structure, there are letters or codes that could be formed into some kind of language or alphabet, and within that each letter has like a sort of a shadow, but it's not a shadow, it's light. It has light behind it, and it sort of reverberates into these quantum fields outside of this dimension. And it's, if you imagine a little sort of harp, each string vibrates and it helps the other one to vibrate. Within this is the royal code, and the royal code comes in from outside of the DNA that can be seen by cellular biology. It comes outside of that, and it comes through this sort of string vibrating in, triggering memory. So those who are holding the royal houses of Sirius will have triggered this Sirius memory within the DNA, and it actually looks like a letter or a code, some kind of language in the DNA. And if you actually look at the DNA of an individual who is aware of their Sirian lifetimes within integration, you would be able to see, if you could see into this quantum field, if you had some kind of special equipment, you'd be able to see this light and this formation within the DNA structure. So this isn't just some metaphor, it's a real thing that's happening within the body. So that's the end of this video. I will carry on with the analysis in the next video. Hope you've enjoyed this. Thank you very much for listening, and I will speak to you again soon. Bye.
What is the Matrix? Who are the Masters? I, Magenta Pixie, am so very pleased to present my first book, channeled from my guidance system that I refer to as the White-Winged Collective Consciousness of Nine. Discover the true story of our origins as an energy system, how we lost the original template for our destiny, and how we are now in the process of remembering those lost codes. Learn how humanity may reclaim the sovereignty which is rightfully ours, bringing us back into wholeness, integration, and full understanding of who we are, why we are here, and what we are here to do. Spirituality, metaphysics, and science merge as the sacred geometry, known as the language of light, is downloaded and decoded. The realization and activation of these ancient codes for a new dawn of man is an alchemical process available to us all. Now is the time that collectively we move forward into a fully conscious ascension and embrace the new archetype of Master of the Matrix.